fentanyl awareness in our community?
We need to be a community in order to solve this problem. When I hear fentanyl, like you said, Tony, there's a lot of people who don't want to talk about it. And there is so much negative stigma that is attached to fentanyl, and it's this othering of the community right up until it is their family member, which is increasingly happening. And I hate that a lot of people just refuse to engage in these conversations until it's too late for their family member. A secondary trauma is something that we also hold space for and have to live with as well. This community has, I think, experienced a disproportionate amount of impact from just drug use in general.
This has been a Rainier Avenue Radio message on fentanyl.
You're listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Check us out on social media. Facebook and Instagram, Rainier Avenue Radio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
Hey, we're back. You know what time it is. It's time for LidLine Sports. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. We have been gone for a little hiatus, but we are back today, and I am Pep, and my man is in Oregon. Oh,
back, baby.
What's up? What's happening?
What up, Pepe? Missed you, man. How you been, man?
I'm good. He's got his Phoenix Suns stuff. Gonna watch the Suns get bombed in the PDX. That's Portland.
That already happened.
Codes. What was that?
I said that already happened.
I know. And they're back again for more.
Yeah.
So, man, look, we got a busy show. I know you said you wanted to be here half the time, but maybe if you could try and stick around as best you can, if you go into the arena, because he's there to watch the game, folks. He's going to be there for the second half of the show. He's going to be watching the Blazers beat up the Suns. And so, but I'm trying to get him to stay on if he can, so maybe you could show us a few highlights or lowlights or whatever it is. But, let's get to work because we got a lot to get going, a lot of stuff happening in the NBA. Of course, we know in the NFL what's happening, and maybe touch some other subjects if we can. But first of all, there was a big deal in the NBA that went down over the weekend. The Utah Jazz picked up some leftovers. You're not talking. Oh, I'm not supposed to be talking about that, right? You guys want me to talk about?
Maybe you're talking about De'Aaron Fox getting traded to San Antonio, right? And
De'Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine going back to Sacramento, but no. Everybody knows we're talking about what happened in the Metroplex, the Dallas Mavericks, and Hollywoodland, the LA Lakers, and Anthony Davis going to Dallas for Luka donut sticks.
Yeah, pretty much, and fillers.
Yeah. So, man, I think the NBA, that was a bomb that dropped. That was Hiroshima. That was Nagasaki. That was a nuke.
Pep,
nobody saw that coming. LeBron was
nobody. Not literally
Jason
zero.
Kidd looked bewildered. He looked like Pete Carroll. He looked bewildered on the sidelines. Didn't know what are we doing here, man?
Look, Pep, I was on my way back from our basketball game. I was on the bus with the kids, and I get ESPN Sham Shani. I get his tweet notifications, especially around this time.
ESPN,
yeah. Well, I get his Twitter notifications.
Okay.
He goes there first. And
X.
It's trade deadline time. Yeah, X. My bad, X. So it's trade deadline time. So you want to be the first to see that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it, and I just looked at it. I was like, okay, he got hacked because there's just no. And then next thing you know, the kids behind me start chattering. They seen it, and then next thing you know, 5 minutes later, Sham says this is not a joke. this is not a hack. This is me.
It's not
I had to go
April.
back. I had to read the tweet, and it literally said Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis and Max Christie and 1 first-round draft pick. And Pep, it's just it was hard to even gather our first reaction because there were so many questions that, like, why? Why for Dallas? Why for LA? Why now? Why these pieces? And I feel like I still don't have answers, even though their questions were answered well on the Dallas Mavericks front office side. But Pep, this was a trade that I heard that was going on behind the scenes for the last several days. But Pep, usually you hear rumblings. No front office heard anything. Even Utah being the third the third team to basically take on contracts, they weren't even informed about who the players were who were moving until a few hours before the trade even happened. And it's just mind-blowing that a 25-year-old Luka Doncic, who just took the Dallas Mavericks to the finals, was even on the trade deadlock. Pep, Nico Harrison called the Lakers inquiring about Anthony Davis and saying Luka is available, not the other way around. And that's just really unheard of unless a player is asking for a trade. And we all thought that was going to be the news that came out later on.
Mhm.
That's not what happened. Luka Doncic was very much disappointed to get traded from the Dallas Mavericks, and very well. I heard he just bought a $15 million home like a couple weeks ago in Dallas. There was no indications whatsoever about Luka Doncic being unhappy in Dallas. Now, I guess on the other side of the front office side, Nico Harrison came out and kind of expressed his concern in the long term when it came to Luka Doncic's health, in the form of him being in shape, his health, being able to, sustain this for a long tenure down the road. And look, I get it. And then he spoke on his defense absences, which it was very clear in the playoffs a lot of times. And I hear him on everything that he said when it comes to Luka Doncic. But the more you just start to think about now, on the other hand, you trade for Anthony Davis, who in my opinion is playing like a top 5 player this season. And it comes of, 27, 28 points a game, 12 rebounds. Is going to be a favorite for Defensive Player of the Year. He is balling. And I do think he fits very well with Dallas. And I do think it does catapult the Dallas Mavericks to now being 1, 2, 3 best teams in the West for now. How long is now, though, Pep? Kyrie, Anthony Davis, both around that 32-year-old age. And I think this is where Nico Harrison pissed off a lot of fans over in the Mavericks. He said that this will sustain for now and in the future. But he said the future could be 2 to 5 years. That's not a big window.
No.
It's not. So you're basically telling your Mavericks fans that we have 5 years to try to win a championship, instead of with Luka Doncic, you have at least 10 years to figure that out. And this is the guy who literally just got you to the finals. So
Yep.
I it's really confusing now. I commend Nico Harrison though, because it takes a lot of guts to make these types of decisions. And I don't, a lot of people said that this was a trade that somebody would make on 2K and things like that. I really do think that Nico Harrison is trying to win. I do really believe that. I truly do. But there's things that you still have to. There still has to be a plan going forward year after year when it comes to building a team. because there's teams now, I'll keep saying it, like my Phoenix Suns, who tried to do it this way. Now, luckily, yes, Kyrie and AD are on the younger side, but these guys that go and try to get these older superstars, it tends to not work out.
Right.
Or it may work out 1 year, and then after that, it starts to phase out. So, I'm not gonna say it was the most bonehead trade yet by Nico Harrison. I'm not gonna say that, but I'm definitely scratching my head. Now on the Lakers side, I 100% get it. You call me, Pep, and you tell me that Luka Doncic is available, and how do you think about it? I'm gonna play dumb and be like, oh, I don't know, because in the back of my head, I'm like, cha-ching, like, okay, well, go ahead and save my franchise once again, like everybody, like has been happening. The LeBrons, the Kobe's, they get their transcending superstar to come in and keep the Lakers relevant for 10 to 15 years. And that is Luka Doncic fits that map perfectly. He is going to be the superstar in La La Land. He is already arguably a top 3 player in the NBA. And this is his team. And they are going to do whatever it takes for the next 10 to 15 years to keep building around him to win multiple championships. That's the difference between what Nico is saying and what the Lakers are doing. So I get it. I know a lot of Lakers fans were bamboozled and confused because Lakers are playing well. I think they're top 5 right now. AD's having, like I said, a all-NBA first-team season. And they do look like they're etching along the line of maybe being a real contender, barring if they would have just maybe got a piece or two, which, Lakers fans thought that's what it was going to be. Just find a center like AD asked for, maybe another 3-and-D guy, and let's see what happens. But when somebody like Luka Doncic comes knocking on your door, you answer that phone call and you got to make it work. Everybody's available. Now, that was including LeBron James, but we know that's not what Dallas wanted. So I have no problem, and I love it for the Lakers, and every other GM would have done the same thing. Now, the fit, it's yet to be seen. I know a lot of people talk about how Luka likes to have the ball in his hands, and Bron does too. They have no center. But this is not just about this year. And I do think that they will fill that hole with the trade deadline on Thursday, getting a center. But this is beyond this year. This is for years to come. And they're still going to compete this year.
When is Luka going to be able to play? Because he's been out since, Christmas? Uh-oh, we lost him. Yeah, well, it figures. Right when I was going to ask a question, right? But anyway, yeah, I like.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh, sweet. Okay, I got 2 questions for you. What was the first? Doggone, I forgot what I asked you.
Maybe Daniel remembers.
Yeah, but anyway.
Huh?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, but one main question, is there any truth to the rumor that Dallas had pitched this trade to Milwaukee at first for Giannis, and Milwaukee said no?
Yeah, there was rumblings that maybe that had happened, but it did also come out that Nico Harrison called the Lakers first and nobody else.
Okay.
He has ties to
Pelinka.
Anthony Davis. He was his Nike rep. He's also really good friends with Rob Pelinka. And this is a player he wants. And as you see, like the type of players that Nico Harrison has gotten since he's been at the Mavericks, he's gotten those rugged, defensive-minded first guys outside of Kyrie Irving, but the Daniel Gaffords, what's his name? Who he got from Charlotte Hornets. I can't think of his name right now. But no, even Max Christie though is of that fit too. But PJ Washington Jr.
Oh, PJ Washington, yes.
Another like rugged guy who can play both sides of the court.
Yeah.
When he said, "I believe in defense wins championships," I truly think he meant that, and which is probably why he felt the need that Luka may not be able to deliver a championship to Dallas because of that reason, for sure.
All right. It'd be interesting to see what how Kyrie feels.
I think he's happy. I mean, of course, like I'm sure he loved playing with Luka Doncic, and
Mm-hmm.
but I think him and Anthony Davis probably have a good relationship as well. Like I said,
Well, they've
I
gotten
think
better defensively automatically.
for sure, and I think that is what, in my opinion, catapults them as my if these guys can start working seamlessly, and by end of April, they're fitting very well offensively. I can see them beating the OKC Thunder in a 7-game series because what you just said, they are going to be a really good defensive team. They got guys that can score. People are forgetting, Anthony Davis is a 28-point scorer. He's not
Mm-hmm.
a 20-point scorer. Kyrie Irving can make the big shot in the fourth quarter in
Mm-hmm.
any game. You trust him with the ball in your hands. I know Clay is, not the same Clay, but he's a big shot maker. And like I said, I like Max Christie, and like I said, all the other defensive guys. This is how you build a team that's ready to make a championship run. In my opinion, is like what Nico Harrison has built, and it sucks that it kind of takes you moving on from your franchise player. But it was real gutsy. But I'm not gonna lie, Pep, I like this fit better, but long term, and if they don't win a championship, then man, you probably should lose your job, Nico Harrison, because it's a really big risk. It's a really big if. But I do like them now, Pep. I do.
Right. Okay. Cool. All right. So I like that. I like your thoughts on that and your synopsis. It was very good. So let's talk about Darren Fox going to San Antonio and Zach LaVine being reunited with DeMar DeRozan in Sacramento. And to me, I like Zach. I do. He's a local kid
Mhm.
from Bothell, and of course he's going to be reignited. Well, kind of united, I should say, with Doug Christie, who is interim coach for the Sacramento Kings,
Yep.
also a 206 guy. So that's going to be interesting. But look, DeMar DeRozan and Zach, what did they do in Chicago?
Nothing.
I mean, and then now you don't have Fox anymore. So what are they expecting in Sacramento? I think, to me, I don't know they're going to be if they're going to be any better than they have been in the last couple of weeks.
No,
To be
they won't.
honest,
Yeah.
I don't. It
think
seems
this-
like they made a move just to make a move because we all know that Fox wanted out of Sacramento, and Chicago for some reason. I don't necessarily know that Zach wanted to leave as much as they kept putting him out there, for trade bait. I don't know.
I'll tell you this. I mean, yeah, Zach wanted to leave, but I'm sure that he wanted to be in a better situation winning wise, and he didn't get that. So
No.
this is just his career all over. He keeps getting in these situations where, it sucks. He's never gotten the real chance to prove that he can play winning basketball.
Mhm.
So he gets labeled as such that he's not a winner. And he hasn't been on good enough teams outside of Minnesota when he was young. And like I said, those guys were young. I wouldn't say they were, ready to win, but
No.
he's never been able to get the chance to, play in those big moments in those big games. And it's not going to happen here with Sacramento either. But I mean, Sacramento was kind of on the clock. It came out that we heard rumbles pretty much all season that De'Aaron Fox was not going to resign long term with the Sacramento Kings. But then they sped this process up when his agent came out basically saying that we would like to try to get this over with. Let's make a trade now before the trade deadline. And the team that was on his radar was the San Antonio Spurs, and we knew that they had a bevy of assets that they could put together a package to get him.
Mhm.
And, we all thought it was going to possibly be Stephon Castle was a part of it, at
Mhm.
least Devin Vassell, maybe Keldon Johnson. They got to keep all those guys, Pep. All of those guys. So my gripe with Sacramento is, yeah, you got some picks for De'Aaron Fox, but you gotta push harder to get some of those young guys. Or even if it was Cass or Vassell or Keldon Johnson.
Right.
But I think the problems with Sacramento, because they're a small market, they're just trying to do their best to stay above water. But we see teams that do that, they end up sinking really hard down the road.
Right.
So that's why you really don't take on, the player who still makes a lot of money if he's not going to be the guy that gets you over the hump. And this team just not built for that. So I really would have liked for them to have gotten a young player, and they didn't. But to be honest with you too, Pep, I'm probably the only person to say this. I'm not a big De'Aaron Fox fan.
Okay.
And I guess I was really shocked that the interest was super mutual between San Antonio and De'Aaron Fox. I like these franchises that just are sticking with their guns and not taking on a chunk of big salary by trading for like these superstars. I really love Stephon Castle and his potential.
Mm-hmm.
Wembanyama is going to be a top 5 player in the league possibly next year. Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell are really good wings. All you have to do is just keep building on top of that. Now I get it. Go get a 25-point score. I'm not mad at that. But outside of 1 year in Sacramento hasn't won with De'Aaron Fox being there. But
No.
maybe now it's different with Wemby. But I just thought that there was somebody else to better complement Wemby out there than De'Aaron Fox. Like I said, I ain't mad at it, but I'm not a huge fan of it like I've seen a lot of people are. How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'm with you. Exactly.
Okay.
I'm pretty, tepid, lukewarm, whatever you want to call it about it. I like it, but I really don't think it's going to make much of a push on the needle as far as getting them up there and to make a deep playoff run, even if they even can make the playoffs, right? They're in the same position. They're probably now Sacramento and San Antonio might be kind of neck and neck as far as positioning, because before Sacramento was a little bit better, a little bit of a head, but now they might be a little neck and neck because I think Sacramento might have taken a step down and San Antonio's taken maybe a slight step up. And I'm not talking about just because of this trade, but I'm talking about what's been done in recent weeks with the Kings.
Yeah,
even though they haven't played a whole lot better, still you're talking, they still got some of the same stuff, same players, that they've been having all year. Right now they're right at 500 at 24-24.
Mm-hmm.
Spurs are 4 games under at 21-25. So I would take a look at that in the next couple of weeks and see if the Kings fall back a little bit and the Spurs push up. Let's see what happens with that. That would be pretty interesting, I think.
Yeah. So the last trade piece of the domino that hasn't fallen yet, and we thought maybe would be the first domino off the books,
Jimmy?
is Jimmy Butler. Now this was a guy who has said it since pretty much the beginning of December that he wants out. And first he gave a list, rumors was a list of preferences.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's bundled down to I want to be in Phoenix and I don't want to be anywhere else. Last rumor I heard.
What's his love? Why is he in love with Phoenix so bad? Because he turned down. He just turned down the trade to Golden State. He didn't want to sign an extension there. So,
I think he's really close with Kevin Durant. I think our front office has made it known, or our owner has made it known that he is going to get paid here. And I think maybe a little bit to do with the weather of him being in Miami now, moving on to Phoenix. But I'm as a Phoenix Suns fan, I'm not too high or too low about wanting Jimmy Butler. More due to the fact that I think Pat Riley's playing so hardball to get him that the Phoenix Suns are going to get desperate and do what I don't want them to do. And they're going to make the mistake that they kind of made with getting Kevin Durant. And they're going to trade the rest of their draft capital to possibly get him. And that is the last thing I want. Now with 2 35-plus-year-old players on my team, how are you going to rebuild after KD and Jimmy Butler is gone?
Good luck.
And then on top of that, what it's also making it harder, what's even harder to even get Jimmy Butler, Brad Beal has a no-trade clause. Can't just ship him off anywhere.
Nope.
Miami doesn't want to take on his contract. And outside of that, Brad Beal has made it known he's not going anywhere unless it makes sense winning-wise, basketball-wise, and climate-wise to him for the most part. But it is rumored that he will kind of forbid what city. He'll kind of bypass city if he's in a great situation to win. But the problem is, Pep, that those teams that are trying to win they're not really too excited to take on his contract.
Heck no.
So it kind of leaves I'm sure Phoenix is trying to get as creative as possible with appeasing Bradley Beal plus appeasing Miami. But I really don't think it's going to happen by Thursday. I just don't see a team willing to take Bradley Beal that Bradley Beal actually wants to play for. I don't see it. Unless Milwaukee changes their stance on Bradley Beal, I don't see anybody else who's
I
willing
see
to.
Bradley Beal in the same position as Chris Middleton, because remember,
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, Chris Middleton was considered a star, and Bradley Beal at one point was considered a star. Now he's a good player, but he's nowhere close to being a wanted star. That luster is gone. And so, yeah, like you said, nobody wants that contract, especially for what he's produced in the last couple of years, which is hardly anything really of value. So
it's definitely not worth 50.
I wouldn't trade for him.
It's not 50 million worth of value on the court. I'll tell you that.
No,
it's not whatsoever.
Nope.
And you see these teams are backing away from taking on unnecessary salary cap to get into these, luxury tax. They don't want to do it because it's so hard to maneuver around it. So that's another reason why it's hard to take his contract on too.
Yeah, and finally, maybe GMs are finally seeing the light on some of these guys. It's crazy to me. It took a while, but finally it's happening that no, they're not going to accept trades. And you know what? If I was Miami, I wouldn't move Jimmy Butler. I just you know what, buddy, you're going to be here, and if you don't want to play, don't play. But you're not going to get paid, and you're not doing us any good, and we're not going to help you if you're not going to help us.
Real quick, I hope Philly and New Orleans seen what Dallas just did when it comes to looking at Zion and Joel Embiid. I know it's hard. Get up off of them, please.
Yes.
Please do yourselves a favor and get off of those two guys. I know it's easier said than done, but just pull the trigger, please.
Yep. All right, so when we come back, of course, we're going to have to get into the NFL and the upcoming big game. So don't go away. We'll be right back. LidLine Sports, Rainier Avenue Radio.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not stopping a Mercer Island street brawl, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio .world.
A new law is helping people save more money on prescription drug costs. You may also be able to save with Medicare's Extra Help program. Your premium cost can be zero and your out-of-pocket expenses are low. Who should apply? Single individuals earning less than $23,000 a year or married couples earning less than $31,000 a year. Even if you don't think you qualify, you should still check out this program. Visit ssa.gov/extra help. Medicare costs are covered by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Women are not an homogenous group.
We face discrimination differently depending on factors such as ethnicity, age, socioeconomic status, and more.
Rainier Avenue Radio is proud to amplify women's voices.
They are the experts of their own lives, initiating conversations within their community about challenges they face, the solutions they're working on, and the opportunities they see.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 for Women's Voices on Air. We know our challenges. We are the experts of our lives.
We are master multitaskers, prioritizing our family, friends, and our faith above our own needs.
Our needs and voices are too often overlooked.
Please join us this Sunday from 2 to 5 p.m. for Women's Voices on Air.
We tell our stories in our own way.
Greetings. This is your host, DJ Neftali, Rainier Avenue Radio .world, the best DJ in the Seattle area. You can catch me every Monday at 8 p.m. on YouTube. Like I said, this is DJ Neftali, the best reggae in Seattle, Washington, the best radio station, Rainier Avenue Radio .world. Come on, right?
Sediment cleanup of the lower Duwamish River has begun. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency and the members of the Lower Duwamish Waterway Group, which includes King County, the City of Seattle, and Boeing, have begun sediment cleanup of the Lower Duwamish Waterfall Superfund site. This important environmental project will address sediment pollution and help restore the health of the Duwamish River. Starting in the waterway's upper reach, construction activities extend from the South 102nd Street Bridge down straight to the Duwamish Waterway Park. Over the next 3 years, in-water activities will occur from October to February, ending in February 2027. Visit ldwg.org to learn about the upper reach cleanup and sign up for email updates.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Speak Up Seattle. We are Rainier Avenue Radio.world, the station that cares.
Don't ever forget.
All right, welcome back to the second half of the show. Did you know the Call to Conscience Black History Museum is open? It's hosting tours 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday every day this month until the 28th. Get tickets at calltoconscience.world. O is making his way inside the arena as I see him smiling. I love it.
Fun, man.
Yeah,
we're losing.
Great.
We're losing, so they need me.
Yeah, they need you. They need you. So we got folks. If you just tuning in, we were talking about the NBA and the big trade between Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic. Yeah, well, everybody's making fun of the fact that they're saying that Luka's
it was 270, Pep.
270, but I've seen another report where he's 285. So look, Zion Williamson got all the flack. Sometimes Luka's gonna get some too. Who else? Listen, I even said last year during the finals, I said, man, look, Luka looks kind of flabby.
He looked really,
but he's balling.
By the time he got to the finals, he had nothing left in the tank.
Right. But you know what? I said the same thing about Jokic, right? Because look, if you look at Jokic and his physique, it ain't the best. But somehow.
But you know what he did? He said this is the best shape he's been in his whole NBA, his whole basketball career.
Yeah, Jokic. Yeah, he's done something about it. Good.
Yep.
But if you look at Luka when he first came in to now, oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, he was thin and fit. Now he looks a little chunky and cigarette-y and beery,
Yeah, I agree.
But so anyway, nice picture of him. So anyway, my man. So we've got the big game coming up in 6 days, 5.5 days now. This Sunday coming up, February 9th, down in NOLA. And of course, they've got extra security considering what happened last month. Last month, so there's some extra security going down there. So we've got the Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs for the second time in 3 years. Now this has happened before because remember when San Francisco and KC had the rematch, it was like the second time in 2 or 3 years or whatever. And what do you think the outcome will be this time? Oh,
man, I keep going back and forth.
Yeah,
these are definitely two best teams in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it just comes down to can the Kansas City Chiefs, can they contain Saquon Barkley?
Mm-hmm.
And can the Philadelphia defense contain Pat Mahomes? And these are both really good defenses. So I don't think we're going to have a shootout. I don't think it's going to be a high-scoring game, Pep.
The first one was, though. Remember, Kansas City won 38-35.
Yep.
But we've got a whole different, mostly different players, especially on Philly. I think there's only 4 returnees for Philly.
I'm leaning towards, and I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm I'm leaning towards the 76ers. I mean, that's not 76ers, but the Eagles.
Right,
Definitely
right.
not 76ers.
Oh, right. Look, well, we're back to what we said during the college, as far as who we thought would win and as opposed to who we'd hope would win. I'm hoping the Eagles will win, but I'm gonna, tell everyone on the air now, and that I don't believe it's going to happen. I do think that Kansas City will prevail, because until you stop Patrick Mahomes when it counts, and nobody's been able to do it. So until it happens, you got to go with the champion, right? You got to knock out the champ, and nobody's done that. Nobody's done it. I mean, look, everybody was saying that this is Buffalo's time. Well, Buffalo's time was last year too. Buffalo had them at home.
Yep.
And still couldn't do it. So what made people think that Buffalo was going to go to Kansas City and win? I saw
made it into the arena, Pep.
Yeah, I saw you. So I have no belief until somebody actually does it. Now, do I think that Philly probably has the best chance of all the teams that have faced Kansas City? Yeah, I do. I really do. And of course, it mainly because of Saquon. He's been lights out. He's been lighting everybody up. And I don't see, the fact that we know that weather won't be a factor in the dome. So there's going to be, no excuses for slippage or rain or snow or anything like that. So I'm looking to see, Saquon at full bore. Now, the thing about it, here's how I decide what's going to happen. Oh, if you can still hear me.
Row 8, 103, row 103.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Oh, it's in the arena, folks. You can hear him live. Here's the thing. If Kansas City is down by more than 2 scores, what are their chances of coming back to win? And you could say the same for Philly. If Philly is down by 2 scores or more, what are their chances of coming back to win? Well, my criteria is this. You got Patrick Mahomes on one side, you got Jalen Hurts on the other side.
I was definitely better off
If Patrick Mahomes is down by more than 2 scores, I have more faith in the fact that he can come back and they winning more so than any other quarterback in the NFL right now. So obviously, I'm gonna tell you that regardless of what lead Philly has in the game, of course, if it's like 4 or 5 touchdowns, well then that's that's kind of beyond expectation for anybody to come back from that. But if they're 2 scores and below, you got to think that Kansas City is still going to come back and take care of business. Oh, I see you sitting in your seat. You're right. Oh, okay. Yep. I've been in there, but I wasn't sitting that close.
I'm a little bit. I'm like 15 rows behind the Suns bench.
Okay. Say hi to KD for me. Yeah, you should have snuck it. You should have wore your Sonic hat, man. Come on, man.
I know, right?
But anyway, did you happen to hear anything I had to say as far as what I thought about the KC and Philly, or no?
I might have missed some of it.
Okay, so what I was saying is how you can determine who's probably going to win the game is this: if Philly is down by 2 scores or more, what are their chances of coming back? And as far as Kansas City, if they're down by 2 scores or more, what are their chances of coming back and winning? And the chances are better in that scenario because of Patrick Mahomes and the fact that they've done it so many times. Not saying that Jalen Hurts can't do it, but Mahomes has done it multiple times.
I 100% agree with you.
So you gotta think that if Philly is up 2 scores, they got to keep putting the hammer down. They can't let up at all. They can't just if they're up 28-14 and they get down in the red zone, they can't settle for a field goal. Can't do it.
Agreed.
You got to score a touchdown, because if they don't do it, they're asking for trouble.
I 100% agree with that.
Yeah. So that's my criteria as far as how that's going to end up. So I do think Kansas City's going to win, but I do hope Philly can prevail. What do you think there? Oh,
I just think with how Saquon Barkley is playing right now, I really do think that he is going to lead them back to the Super Bowl and get another ring. The way he's playing right now, he just can't be stopped, man. I also like going with the underdogs too, Pep. But
okay.
very much with these guys though, I truly believe that they are smidge the better team over Kansas City Chiefs all around.
Yeah, I everybody has said that Philly roster has probably the better roster, and I agree with that. But is it better? Is it better in such the fact that it's superior, vastly? And the answer is no. I mean, they're good. I mean, they're better roster-wise on paper, and how they played so far. And look, we've all said that Kansas City's been mediocre all season. But somehow they still win, and of course it gets tainted because they get all the close calls by the refs. They win all the close games, whatever. So everybody's got the illusion that it's rigged. I'm still steadfast in saying the NFL can't be rigged because I don't see players that would want to get risk injury on a rigged scripted game. It just makes no sense to me.
I agree. I agree.
I could be wrong, of course, but using that logic for me just doesn't make sense. So I wouldn't do it. So, yeah, it's crazy, So yeah, that's why I say that. I unfortunately I think Kansas City's probably going to win again. They'll be the first team to three-peat in the Super Bowl era. And so that would be something, history. What do you think about that?
That's why as much as I'm gonna go for the Eagles, I love seeing history like that being made. So I would definitely love to see the first three-peat in NFL history. Pat Mahomes, furthermore, just kind of cement why he's gonna go down as the best quarterback, if not the best player to ever touch a football. So yeah, in this Super Bowl, it's a win-win for me. I'm okay with whoever's winning. Usually, a lot of people don't like seeing Brady win in those type of circumstances. I want to see Mahomes win. I want to see Saquon Barkley after what he went through with the Giants. I want to see him win. So I'm okay with whoever wins this one.
Right.
I'm not leaning towards whoever more than the other.
Right. Yeah. I personally have no dog in the fight, even though I do have family in Philly that I'm kind of rooting, hoping that they're happy, and then of course,
I do have that.
Yeah, and of course, what happened last weekend, Friday, in Philadelphia, the tragic plane crash.
Yeah.
That was just terrible. And then my niece, she drove by there the next day. Yeah. So, and she showed video of the aftermath of the devastation. It was terrible. But I'm glad she was okay, and I got a cousin there. I'm glad he's fine because I saw him post that his regular silly stuff. So I know he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know he's good, but he didn't live too far from there, and I know my niece lives real close to that area. So man, that must have been horrific. And of course, you've seen video and whatnot. But anyway, getting back to sports. There's some other NFL news, not just the Super Bowl. Cleveland Browns' Myles Garrett has declared that he wants out. And if I was the Seattle Seahawks, I'd have been on the phone as soon as I heard that. I'd have said, okay, I'd have been on the phone. I'm like, man, what do you want? We got DK sitting out there. What do you want? Because whatever it is, you're getting it.
That was my first thought too, Pep. That was my first thought too.
Yeah.
I
Well,
hope they
us
are
and
on the
31
phone.
other teams, right?
I know. But just like you said, I'm picking up the phone with a blank check. What do you want? You pick through it. You let me know, and let's discuss.
Yeah.
There's nobody who is safe in this trade outside of maybe what Jackson and Jigma and the cornerback.
Witherspoon.
Yeah, or can Witherspoon go too?
Yeah, heck yeah. For
Okay.
Garrett, heck yeah,
Yeah.
because you could
Yeah.
get a corner.
Yeah.
Because listen, I said this a couple of weeks ago. Witherspoon is great as far as he covers, he tackles well, and he's the only guy that has not let Kyler Murray go crazy. If you've noticed that every time the Seahawks have played Arizona since we've gotten Witherspoon, Kyler Murray can't go anywhere. He's running all over everybody, but Witherspoon has him contained. My only problem with Witherspoon is he is not a turnover maker. He doesn't cause turnovers. And if you're a top flight, top 5 pick, you got to be able to make a difference in the game. And he has, you know how many interceptions he had last season? Oh,
How many? 0.
0. And
Wow.
that's unsatisfactory for a cornerback, man. Especially if you're a cornerback that's supposed to be an all-star, all-pro. To have 0 interceptions, that's a problem to me.
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that.
So
Not mad at
yeah,
that.
if Cleveland said we want Witherspoon, okay. Yeah, we'll take Myles Garrett. Yeah. But I would trade DK and say, okay, see you later. And get Garrett, because you can get a wide receiver.
Yeah.
You can get a cornerback.
I
You can
agree.
get them. And you can get one in the draft. You don't necessarily have to go in free agency or trade. You can get one in the draft.
I agree.
You know, yeah. And then Cooper Kupp is up for. The Rams have said that Cooper Kupp is going to be on the trade block. You know, listen. I know the Seahawks can't get everybody, but I mean, since we're talking local here, you know, you got the wheels turn, right? So you think, okay, Tyler might be on his way out. If you want a replacement for him, there it is. There he is, right there. He's a Washington guy. He's from Eastern Washington, so he's got some local ties. So it makes sense. Like I said, you can't get everybody. I get that, but I'm just saying, for the names that are out there, that's interesting. Those that teams should have some interest. And look at that.
So the LA Rams approached Cooper Kupp about saying that we're going to.
They told him.
Look for,
They flat out told him, said, look, we're going to be looking to trade you in the off season. And he was like, okay, I'm a little disappointed because I thought it was going to be a Ram forever, but okay, I get it.
But why though?
Why?
Do we know why they're trying to move off of him?
We don't know why,
Okay.
but if you look at his production and the fact that Puka Nacua is that guy in LA now, he's their number one go-to guy. And then they got DeMarcus Robinson, they got Tutu Atwell, so they got other guys. And so Cooper Kupp just doesn't have the same cachet as he used to have. And of course, Matthew Stafford, we don't know how much longer he's got. So the Rams are thinking ahead. Look, we're still going to have Stafford for next year, but after next year, they probably won't have him.
Yeah.
So they got to make the transition as smooth as they can. So the first stop, Cooper Kupp. It makes sense. All right. So once he's gone, and then you figure out what you get back, and then all right, next year it'll probably be Stafford. So they're just doing their due diligence and trying to retool and reorganize what they're going to do, because they still have pieces and they still got a good defense, and they got the rookie of the year, Jared Verse. So yeah, so I'm not mad at them. So what's going on with the game? Can you give us a play-by-play?
Yeah, 42-40. The Blazers are up, kind of going back and forth right now. The Suns did have a little lead when I got in here, but offense has definitely sputtered.
They saw you and got nervous.
Right, something. But it's really interesting, Pep. I don't know if you also heard that the Warriors asked about Kevin Durant.
Oh, okay.
What was that?
I said, oh, okay. I didn't hear that.
Yeah. Now, I don't know. Now, I know that it sounded like owner did let Kevin Durant know that they're just listening. They're saying that he is not available, but they said they're just doing their due diligence. But the Suns' first order is to do whatever it takes to get Jimmy Butler.
Right.
Now, we just seen what happened with Luka Doncic, so who's to say? I don't know. I feel like this trade deadline is going to be one for the books, because after Luka getting traded, anybody can go.
Right. Yeah, you're right about that. That's. Whew. But yeah, I didn't hear about the KD. The Warriors want him back again.
Yeah,
Right?
I heard that after Jimmy Butler kind of said that he wasn't going to resign with the Warriors, they traded for him. The Warriors said that it sounded like the Warriors just picked up the phone and they called about Giannis. They called about Kevin Durant. They called about whatever superstar that was out there.
Mm-hmm.
But what makes no sense to me for the Warriors is they had a chance this offseason to, get Paul George. They had a chance to get Larry Markkinen, and they made some of those young guys and picks, untradeable. The Brandon Kaczynski and all those guys. So they kind of shot themselves in the foot. I just never understood with, Steph and Draymond at their age range, why did you not be more aggressive in the offseason? So
yeah,
now they're pretty much scrambling and they're desperate.
Yep. So it looks like the Warriors' reign of terror is about coming to an end in the West.
Yeah. And because even, I don't know if a move saves them this. Same with the Suns. I don't know if a move saves them this year, but, with Kevin Durant's age, with Steph Curry's age, with Draymond's age, you don't have that much of a window. So,
right. Yeah, if you're just joining us, O is at the Blazers and Suns game, so that's what you're hearing in the background. And we talked about the big trade with Luka and AD earlier, and then we got into some Super Bowl talk, of course, the big game, I should say. And then Myles Garrett wants out of Cleveland, and the Rams are shopping Cooper Kupp. The Seattle Seahawks hired a offensive line coach, John Benton, and they also hired a quarterback coach. I forgot his name. And both of those were in New Orleans, along with Clint Kubiak, who they hired last week as their offensive coordinator. So they brought in a staff of Saints to the Seahawks. What's your thoughts on that?
On what about the Seahawks?
They hired offensive line coach, quarterbacks coach, and of course the OC Clint Kubiak and they all come from the New Orleans Saints.
Oh yeah, I don't know much about him, but like I said, I know the Seahawks offense has to be better in the sense of trying to get this run game going.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see. But just like you said, they got Seahawks still have a lot of work to do. But I don't know much about that offensive coordinator.
Well, we'll see if we can try and get more in depth in that maybe next week or in the coming weeks. Last couple of weeks ago, I premised a show that I got to apologize for. I premised a show saying that maybe the Atlanta Falcons had blew up the Seahawks' plans, and I never elaborated because we got so much stuff going on during the show that I couldn't get into it. But I just want to say that I think the Atlanta Falcons blew up the Seahawks' plans to get Michael Penix Jr. because the Seahawks had Ryan Grubb as the OC, and I think the Seahawks had a plan to make a trade with the Raiders, who was like 5 slots ahead of them, and I think the Raiders would have been open for a trade because the Raiders ended up with Brock Bowers, the tight end, who was a superstar, and they probably could have had him actually down further where the Seahawks were. And I think the Seahawks wanted to move up and get Penix at 13, but the Atlanta Falcons at number 8 blew up that whole scenario. And so that's why that didn't happen. And nobody mentioned it because It wasn't even no need to, right? Because it wasn't even close to happening because of how far up the ladder the Falcons were. So that's what I wanted to discuss at that time and get some thoughts and stuff like that. But that's already kind of played out now, so no need to worry about any of that right now. Just some interesting food for thought. And so we're getting close to timeout, but
No, what else we didn't get on?
What?
Joel Lloyd being traded to the Aces.
Ah, that's right. Jewel Lloyd got out. She's with the Las Vegas Aces now. Kelsey Plum's with the LA Sparks. Seattle got fleeced. They got the number 2 pick. So unless this number 2 pick is lights out, whoever it is, well, I don't have no idea who it's going to be yet. Because it can't be Hidalgo. She can't come out. So she can come out next year, I think. And if they're bad, then they'll probably be able to get somebody like that next year.
And we know who's won, so I don't know who's two.
Yeah, who's won? It's what's her name? Paige Beckers. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who's two.
Yeah.
But there was rumblings that Joel Lloyd didn't get along with the head coach, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I don't think she got along with Skylar either. I don't think.
And they did bring a Gumake back, so she resigned with the Storm. So
yes, thank goodness. Yes. So I don't know. Unless their second pick is lights out, they got fleeced. Because why didn't they get Plum? Yeah,
I agree.
Unless they found out Plum didn't want to come here, right? That could have been a thing. Because Plum is from LA.
I highly doubt. I mean, this being her hometown, I don't know. I just don't see why she wouldn't know.
Right. Well, anyway, we'll find out. They got some 6'7" girl who from China. Who played with the Sparks, and she had some flashes. She had a couple of double games, but we'll see. Maybe she'll team up with Izzy or Ibby, whatever, and maybe they'll have a Twin Towers effect, be good on defense, whatever. I don't know. We'll find out. Much to be seen and heard and all that stuff. The Mariners re-signed Polanco.
Oh, just cut the show off as we're talking about. Just cut it off.
Yeah. So anyway, we're out of time. So hopefully next week we'll be back. Unfortunately, we don't know because with the high school basketball situation, and Rainier Avenue Radio might want to broadcast the high school basketball game. So I will announce on LidLine's Facebook post whether or not we have a show next week. So stay tuned for that. So until then, on behalf of O and Daniel, I'm Pep. We'll see you guys soon.